G'day everyone, welcome to Marty's Garden. Just got to fix up the camera here. I haven't gone live for so long, and look, what's happened is I don't have this software that I had before that I could run everyone's comments through and things like that. So we're just running straight into the Google software. I didn't announce this at all anywhere other than just 5 seconds ago on my Facebook feed and letting people know that I have a live show. So I've been missing for quite a while, and you may be wondering where I am. I've been putting the odd video out about my air garden and how much I love that system. And look, predominantly most of my videos are about worm farming, and like people have been watching me for that. But listen, if you can hear me okay, because I don't have the software that I had before, I just couldn't afford to run those costs on the Marty's Garden Show at the moment. But if you could leave a comment, let me check that the comments box is working. As I said, I'm just using the YouTube software to run this now, and comments should appear on my right-hand side if all goes well in the chat box. And yeah, stoked to be here. And really, if you've come here for the title, you've come here because we want to see is worm farming dead into 22 and beyond. And in some ways, it is. And in some ways, it isn't. It's really like sitting on this sort of roller coaster ride. And it has been really for the last 10 years. There hasn't been any trends associated around it. It didn't really pass on to the trends with like war on waste that we're going through. Everything seems to go towards the plastic and then recycling the plastic and turning the plastic over to reuse to other things, and not so much the recycling side of our food waste. That's really hasn't become really something that people are talking about, right? And I find that a bit of a bother myself, but I'm still composting here. I'm still selling compost from my place where the worms go through and leave all their castings and all the beautiful biology. People are growing amazing plants with it. I'm growing amazing plants with it. We're getting a lot of high rainfall at the moment in Elaineingham here in Australia on the East Coast. So good for the worms at the same time. But then again, people don't come gardening to buy the compost because it's raining a lot. As soon as the sun comes out and the weather gets good, and they're like, oh, I wouldn't mind getting out in the garden. So it's a little bit different for me. When it's raining a lot and the worms are good, people aren't gardening as much. And when it's not as good for the worms, they're out gardening more. So I've got to keep this whole system going. And, I sell some compost worm from time to time, but mostly just the actual organic compost that's coming out of here. So I've still got customers. So I wouldn't say it isn't dead just yet. I spoke with Permy Pete from WormBiz. He's doing okay with his worm farm business on the mid-north coast of Australia, and that's where I recommend you get your worms from if you're in Australia and you can get them to you. He doesn't sell huge amounts, but he sells enough to keep him going. It's my little pop water today. And so please leave a comment in the side box and let me know you can hear me okay. I'm just running through this little screen here, my YouTube screen, Logitech camera, got pretty good microphone. So hopefully that's coming through okay, and a decent light up here. So it's all lit up well. I just can't scroll the comments through at the moment. So as we're moving into sort of 2022, and like you would think that we'd be looking at these recycling systems, and I'm not seeing anything on the news, in the media, as so to speak. There's one company, Subpod, that are building underground worm farms, and they're actually got one that goes, it's a mini one now that goes into the ground. It's smaller and fits in the garden beds and helps feed the system, and they work really well. And I know that they're having some success and moving forward, and they haven't folded yet. Some other companies are bringing out some worm farms, but they're just the same as what they were before. There's been no innovative technology towards this. So I guess there's not enough money going into it to want to create the innovation. And what I'm finding is really the more sort of like it's going more into vertical farming, the urban farming, the indoor sort of environment farms, and they can just grow and they can mechanicalize everything, which sort of takes that human aspect away from it, which is, it's sort of sad in a way, it takes you, it gets your hands out of the dirt and all that type of things. It helps you get that connection with the earth. But that's just the way it's going. And like with population just exploding in the next 20 or 30 years, it's we've got to mechanicalize everything, and it's got to be cost effective, and it's got to work in such a way. So that's one of the reasons why I've started doing some hydroponics myself, and the fact that it's just so time saving. Like what I do is pretty time consuming, and it's hard to get to scale. So you're getting to a certain scale where you can actually make a living. I've plateaued out now, and I really, unless if I do more to scale, I'm just doing more work for myself. Very difficult to get young people interested to come and work on projects like this. It's nothing that they hear about in school or anything. It's someone who just really loves gardening. And I walk around the streets, and I'm riding my skateboard and walking around the bike and driving around. I never see any young kids out in the garden anymore. Not like myself. When I was 10 years of age, I had a gardening run. I was mowing lawns and weeding gardens, and that's good. So it's just, I don't know. Things are really changing. And look, I haven't really had any comments on the side here, so I don't know how well that's working. I'm going to bring the microphone a little bit closer to me to see if that's sort of coming through a little bit better. But look, there's 10 people watching, 3 thumbs up. So I wasn't expecting anyone to really show up much today, because the fact is I didn't announce this. I've been away for quite a while. And I'll just fill you in on that as well, about why you haven't seen me quite as much. I've been suffering from a sleeping disorder. I had my dystonia, my neck problem, where it looks a bit like you've got Tourette's or something like that. But it's that sort of had calmed down. It's not like you don't get the voice. It's just you get the head movement and the nerves not sort of connecting up properly in the back of the neck, and consistent headaches and things. And I thought it was just that, but it was apparently I had a sleep disorder. I've got mild sleep apnea, and I just wasn't getting the rest that I was needing. It's getting worse and worse. I was creating more and more anxiety. And I had to go see specialists and all types of stuff to get on top of it. It was really bringing me down. I had to take like a full month off work. I was nearly going to take 6 weeks, took a full month, just sort of coming back now into it. And so, it's been a bit of a tough ride, and I've had to sort of focus on things that are most profitable. And unfortunately, making videos on a Marty's Garden channel is one of the least profitable, and doing these live shows is the least of the least least profitable yet again. I am running a business here, right? But I want to connect with you guys and say g'day. And we got our first comment, sunny night. Good morning, Marty. Hope you're well. I went to have a little worm farm with my 5-year-old daughter. A bit of fun and bonding time. Look, that is awesome. And that is one of the things that I really enjoyed with my young girl. Well, she's not young anymore. Karen's 15, and she doesn't really like being in these videos much anymore. So, but it is such a beautiful thing, just showing them and teaching. And believe you me, even though they might lose interest like my daughter has in the future, that education is there, and that way of showing them that food just doesn't come from a plastic bag in the supermarket. So well done, Sonny. And just enjoy it, mate. Just enjoy it. And a time will come when she might go, oh, I don't like worms anymore. But, as long as you're enjoying it, that's great. So Trish Faint, hi, Marty. I have a worm farm at home. I also bought one for the preschool that I work at. The children love them. Our garden loves the worm tea as well. Well, with some of the best liquid fertilizer around that comes for free, right? And it's such a good way to connect that to the kids and then show them how to recycle. That education is just passed on each and every time. So it is just, like something like that. It's just passing on this legacy and helping worm farming not to die out, right? Because it's not trending in any way, hasn't trended. It's basically, I think the last big trend was like 15 years ago. It's been on a downhill decline really ever since. I'm surprised that companies are even putting any money into it. Every company that I've reached out to other than SubPod, no, they just don't want to, and they hardly ever get back to you about it. So, it just goes to show. Jeff Bridges, $1.99 from Super Chat. Thank you so much, Brett. I don't have the software at the moment where I can give you the sound effects, so I'll just give you the Thank you very much. Love it. Great stuff. And Cannabis Culture Australia. G'day, mate. G'day, brother. And Joshua Cole. Hello. I just recently moved out and now I've got 2 worm bins and I'm trying to expand. Thanks for the great content. Well, you're very welcome. Look, there's so many videos in there these days. And if I keep sort of producing it over and over, I'm just sort of regurgitating the same content. So people just need to sort of dig through the channel and find the information, especially relatively new people that are coming into the channel. And there's heaps of information, like hundreds of videos on worm farming. And we'll see how we go. I'm still just getting my health back now and getting on top of things. And it's been a bit of a tricky ride. And, got to pay the bills. This is where it comes down to at the end of the day. But I am in talks at the moment, with Air Garden. And they're sending out a proposal for me. I quite like their product. And I love how it just like the oxygen is like, it's totally different to worm farming. It's a whole different new way to garden. So it's not something I'm going to bring up here, but I am enjoying the process of it and I find them really good. So if that interests you, check out the videos. There's another one coming out tomorrow showing how I'm growing basil in that system. I am adding fungi and microbes to the system. So you can't add worms because they just drown, but there are other living bacteria in there. Joshua Croft, hello. I just recently moved out. Now I did read that before. Jeff Bridges, I'll watch any gardening projects you do. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, wonderful. We've got a few projects coming up and just in the talks with Air Garden at the moment and see what they're going to propose for. And then we'll sort of look at Marty's Garden, the direction that it's going to take. Obviously, like organic gardening has been my biggest thing for years and years and years. I just rolled it out over all that time. And I sort of wish if I had a production team, which I'd love to have, but people would have to sponsor the videos and pay for video. I would go out onto farms and all types of things and create this type of content. But unfortunately, it's got to pay for itself. I can't go out and then produce a video and it only makes $5. It's not practical. I end up living underneath the bridge. I forgot to move my surfboard away. There's one of my surfboards there, TimberTech one. I tried to clear up the thing really good. I've got some skateboard wheels here because I've been doing a bit of skateboarding for exercise because I've been told the doctor I've got to do heaps of exercise to sleep really well. So more surfing, more skateboarding. But I actually hurt myself by overdoing it. And now I've got to take a couple of weeks off, pulled a muscle above the groin. Going hard at 54. So that's been fun. And I've been creating I've got a channel called Skated Australia and creating some videos there because I'm setting up, I'm going to be getting some coaches together to run a skateboarding school here locally. There's no kids haven't got anything to do. And, everyone's right behind it. And I'm going to set up like a mentorship program into that as well. So there's something that I'm doing behind the scenes that I don't really mention on here because people here mostly for the gardening, organic gardening. And, some people like to learn about this, the tower garden that I'm doing, the air garden. And so awesome. Schedule a live streams, boss. If I keep doing it, and this is just a one-off for now, like I said, I'm still not 100% well. And I'm looking at sort of like the possibilities of whether they keep running or not. I really don't know because I don't have the software and I've got to spend $300 or $400 on more software and stuff like that, or use a free one. And then again, like it's got to earn money, right? This is a business and people seem to forget that. And then, because you come in, you make a piece of content and then, like you put a lot of heart and soul into it and you get all these people, oh, I don't like that, and it really does affect you emotionally. And it's like, YouTube has just changed so much over the years. And I was in there, 12 years I started to go just to document my little garden with my daughter. And then we started getting some worm farms and and then putting sort of like plants on the veranda and things and moving into micro farming and then slowly just evolving into what it is. So I'm not saying I won't do them, but they'll probably just be sporadic or from time to time. It just depends. Really, there's so many factors involved, but I'm here. I want to connect with my community, let them know what's going on and have a chat about whether I think the worm farming is sort of dead going into 2022. And I really wish that it would take off a lot more. If it did take off a lot more and there was, like a bigger audience sort of behind it and people, when it started, like, I was really just waiting for that trend to really start happening. And, the faith was there and it just didn't happen. And I said to myself, I'm going to give it 2 years, see how it goes. And if I don't reach the levels that I need to reach to, then I've got to look at another way for Marty's Garden to be profitable. And so it's been a bit of a tricky one. There's no doubt about that. But I am still worm farming. I sold my hungry bin because I'm just not using it. I've got the biggest worm farms ever. They're full of worms. I got my windrow, which is just, there's lots of worms in there. And all my smaller worm farms, I've been selling them to people when they come and buy compost worms. Been selling them a secondhand worm farm to take away with worms inside it. And so that's been sort of building up the worm farming thing locally. I was at a local skate park a while ago. One of the young guys come up and said, "Hey, I know you." He goes, "You helped me with my worm farming." He lives up the road. So, like it's still happening, but just in a sort of a different process. And I'll read out a couple of these comments. Have you done any deep shade gardening? My family lives in the woods so little. So, Jeff, I'll just, that type of thing depends on your climate. So you're looking at sort of like in subtropical climates, you can grow better leaf, which is like, I've got a video on that. That has to be quite warm, or just in the summertime, you could grow that beautiful plant related to the, so any sort of leafy greens, plants that sort of like a lot of water. So semi-aquatic plants, because they generally grow in the shade, edible semi-aquatics, things like that. So you can look at permaculture where they're sort of like the bottom plants live in the bottom stories and what ones. So different mints and herbs and things and leafy greens can live in those bottom stories, no problem. So hopefully that helps a little bit. And Paul Valesco, Marty's been sick. Yes, Marty has been sick. I've been very unwell and just had to focus on, like I work for myself and still got to keep a roof over my head, food on the table, clothes on the back, that type of thing. So the least profitable when you're not well comes in last, unfortunately. And unfortunately, it headed off to you guys. So I do apologize for that, but I think you all pretty much understand that. G'day, 18Bs. Hello. Wombuck Organics. Hello. Hook, get him out of your panel. So, and I am in touch. Some lady's going to be looking at sort of like doing some cross promotions for me, to looking at getting me on some TV and different things like that. And so we'll see where sort of things lead with that. And, it'd be some interesting times. Got a meeting with her in a couple of weeks. That's what she used to do. She now breeds dogs, but she used to like bring people to like radio stations, to on the TV, into newspapers, that type of thing. She's been following me for quite a long time, and she's offered to help. So who knows? You might see me on ABC in next year or something like that. Marty, do you need space to do the garden? I'm on 100 acres, 30 minutes from you. No, not so much space. It's the time. If I had the space and the machinery, then that sort of would help. But it's really been the time factor. And it's also been a part of, and this is one of the hardest parts, is the loneliness behind it, because I'm working by myself on every project. And it's really been affecting me long term over that. And so, yeah, and leaving behind a legacy, and at the same time as I'm getting older, being able to sell something as you go. Because people have known me for years. I'm a full-time single dad, raised my daughter on my own. And there's a period there where you really just, no help. And there's, it's really hard to make an income. So I've only just started to being able to sort of pick things up again. And then the last 5 years, I've been sick on and off with my health, with the dystonia, and now this sleep disorder. But getting on top of things. And so the land, if I guess the tricky part is working with people that have got the same sort of dreams and goals and aspects, and then being able for me to actually like go, okay, I need a month off, and that thing still keeps running, right? It needs to keep running. and it keeps going. Otherwise, it just drops off. And the problem is when you're on your own, you've got to keep it running. And so the wheel keeps on turning. You just get more tired and tired and tired and tired. And, I think that's a part of the thing. But I really do appreciate any offers like that. And you are very close, Wombat Organic, that's for sure. But, I possibly would consider working in with some projects on some other people. I am looking at trying to do the skateboarding mentorship thing over these holidays and having a bit of a break as well. And the skateboarding mentorship thing really gets me out into the local public and meeting people and helping the young kids and stuff like that. And it gets away this momentum of me having to do everything all on my own. So I'm really quite enjoying that process. And thanks everyone for the kind words so far. It's unreal to see like 17 people here and the 14 thumbs up. Now, if you ever watch the live shows, we're generally trying to go with as many people or over the thumbs up, how many people are watching. And that sets off the YouTube algorithm to let people know what's going on. But anyway, listen, what's your thoughts on worm farming into 2022? Do you think it's moving forward? Are you still interested in it? Are you still doing it? Are you looking at other ways to possibly garden? Is it too labor intensive? Is it something that you think you'll just do forever? Like all these questions, we need to sort of answer them. For me, I'm renting, and I've been so lucky to actually be able to have my worm farms and my compost system outside the house. Most places you would never get away with that, but because there's no smell, there's no vermin, and I sell to the locals, they sort of everyone's just been happy to sort of support me. But I know in another town, I would just be shut down instantly. So I'm just blessed, really, to be able to do what I do and work from home. I also run out and sell microgreens to 3 restaurants, and I also sell the herbs to the restaurants and some cherry tomatoes and things like that. So that's been helping me kick along as well. And to be honest, it's more profitable than creating videos at the moment, unless no one come through with the sponsorships or wanting to help me put a name on a brand for a worm farm or anything like that. And I really tried hard to get that going, and you just got to learn to stop beating against the wall one day, because it just wasn't happening. And believe you me, I had lots of meetings, lots of emails, all those type of things, and I couldn't come up with something that really benefited me to step forward and keep rolling out this worm farming thing. But you never know, right? So I've still got this channel rolling. There's still videos there. Someone may reach out to me in the future. So I'm not discounting it at all. Jeff Bridges, once you get the feel for the proper moisture of the bins, you are solid. Getting 4 gallons of vermicompost every 90 days. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, look, once you get the moisture in there and you get your feed right to the moisture and to the amount of worms, you really can turn over a lot of compost. Permy Pete, I'm heading up there in the next month to his place, which is about an hour and a half drive from my place up in the mountains. He turns over volumes of like huge cubic meters every day of worm compost. And I'm actually going to be his video coach for his content coming up in the future. So it's interesting to see whether what he does, he's sort of a permaculture guy, whether that sort of rolls off into the Marty's Garden Show or not. Maybe it may do, and we can keep a story going on, and I might end up sort of like working maybe with him on some projects. So that would be interesting. He knows a lot about worm farming, more than me. Organics will never die. There's no doubt about that. Organics will never die. It's always growing. It's just the worm farming side of things is just plateaued out, and it's really a huge part of it. And it's unfortunate that these things work on trends and with the media and all that type of stuff and what they want to throw out. And at the moment, it's just, Joshua Croft, I think it's all I think about now. It'll be worm farming forever. That's cool. Yeah, well, as long as I'm growing plants, I'll always be doing it as well. And, I've got hundreds of thousands of them now, and I don't think I'm ever going to lose them. Michael Sharp, worms are tough to raise. No, once you get the moisture, the bedding right, and the food right, so you got moisture, food, temperature, and bedding. Once you get those 4 things right, and you just consistently do that, you'll find it's quite simple. but at the beginning stages, we just like to push the edges too much, and the bedding can be too hot. You might overfeed them. It might be too dry in some perspectives. Usually over too much moisture doesn't have a bad effect, but unless there's no oxygen getting through. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Jeff said everyone is happy to see me carrying vermicompost to them. So it's a big ego boost for me. Ronald Harris, my Cana strain now is FA6 in seed form. I hope it will be stable, sativa dominant. Yeah, nice one, man. I know that a lot of people in certain places around the world, which is where I think it's leading the most, is really in this cannabis revolution, because that's where the money is, right? And so people that are going organic are finding that, worm farming, worm castings is really the ultimate way to grow an organic product. And so, yeah, I think that's probably where it's going to lead. If I was going to head off in that direction, that's where I would have went if I was in the States, on that medical side of things, not so much the side for, as you would treat alcohol or anything like that, but more on the medical side. And I feel that that's got a good direction and a good hope as far as a farming perspective goes, not so much a backyard expensive. I'm getting tongue-tied here. The Worm Factory 360 kit is dead easy. That is true. It is very easy. True organic should be environmentally friendly from cannabis culture. It should be organic cannabis is where I'm wanting to go. I think you're in the right direction if you stick with worm farming and the organic cannabis. And really, like, if you're sort of working on turning over volumes and where you are, you may want to look at the night crawler because it turns over more compost. But the red wigglers, you can breed them up really quick. That's one thing too. So I would look at that, and also the type of food that you feed them. And the mineralization is really important if you really want to push it to the edges, right? So you might want to look at feeding them some type of rock mineral dust that comes out of the volcano that sets the microbes off, and and sort of go from there. So we got some pretty good comments so far. And there's 21 people watching. We've been going for nearly half an hour, and it's just unreal to see you all you guys here. Look, I do have another video coming out tomorrow, but it's based on the air garden, just showing the basil that I'm growing out of it at the moment. And because I'm looking at setting them up possibly for running around to do to the restaurants, and see how that sort of goes into the future, and grow some other different types of leafy greens out of it year round, which I'm really excited about, because in my compost area, it just gets too cold over there in winter. And I've got a great winter spot here under my veranda where I can put the air gardens and grow a lot of food, more than I can basically out of soil in the winter. So it's more set up to sort of autumn, winter, and then we're going into summer, and I should really be growing a lot of summer stuff out of it. So we'll see how things go. Anyway, if you're really interested in it, just keep watching it. I think it's a good story to see, and it might just change your mind like it did myself on different ways you can grow food and how you can actually combine them both together. Jeff Bridges, if you're spending dollars on quality seed, you need vermicompost to achieve superior results. Yeah, look, I'm the microgreens that I grow, I'll just grab them here. I'll show you something and you'll be blown out by these things. This is one of the crops that I sell to the restaurant. That is 10 days old. And that is purple Sango radish. Now, it has a purple flavor, has a radish flavor, and it's very soft textured. And yes, and this is that's growing in an organic compost, guys. Now, how awesome is that? Now, I'm getting the same results doing it hydroponically, exactly the same, but this is a cheaper way to go. And I think the shelf life is a bit longer when you do it sort of like in an organic sort of system. And there's worms in there, guys. Like at the bottom of the tray, there's worms going in and out the tray because it comes out of my rows. And I eat it myself as well. And that tray there is worth around about $30, right? So to sell that whole tray to one of the cafes. So yeah, pretty good for 10 days growth, right? Just amazing what you can do for growing food. How much food is there? There's actually there's 9 sandwich bags full. So, the big sandwich bags you get. If you fill 9 sandwich bags up, because I sell the sandwich bags, 1 sandwich bag for $5 to the restaurant, get 9 sandwich bags in one of those trays in 10 days. So pretty amazing. And all growing, in organic compost. Shannon, I hope you're feeling better, Marty. Thank you so much. I am slowly feeling better. I'm getting more sleep now. I've been diagnosed with mild sleep apnea, and apparently they say it's going to get worse over the years. So I just got to keep my weight down, sugars down, and keep really a lot of exercise. Injured myself though, exercising the other day. So I'm just anyway. Here I am, I'm still smiling, and we're able to get here and talk with you guys and have a chat about worm farming and organic gardening and different things that are going on. And do I think worm farming is dead in the 22? I don't think it is, but I don't know if it's going to have the growth and fluctuation. Like, where's the stories going to come from? This is what I want to know, is like, where the story's going to come from, where's the wow factor come from, and where does the journey go? Because the story has a journey, a start, a beginning, and an end, right? And at the moment, worm farming doesn't have a journey, right? It doesn't have this media behind it going, oh yeah, we can, a big council. I only know one council on the East Coast that does it up Lismore, one of the most progressive ones, and they use worms to compost a lot of their stuff on council. But doesn't come up in the media, and that never got shown. And so if it just all of a sudden was going through all the council movements and people going, oh yeah, and it come even to down, with elections and things, which is just totally crazy to say that. But where does the stories come from? I don't know. This is the fact. And when we watch worm farming videos, the story at the moment is I'm putting a little bit of food in there. I'm feeding them this. They're growing up to that. They're getting a little bit older, eating this much. They like this. They like that, which is interesting. But there's no future story to really get people going, oh, I just want to do that and become involved too. It's for the very deep enthusiasts, and it doesn't seem to have the growth that I would like to see. And I still pray daily that it does have, it does have the growth. So we got some more comments here. Shannon Alexis, I'm moving into my first house in a couple of days. I'm starting a compost bin and worm bin. Hope to be able to sell some like you. Yeah, okay, cool. So look at, the ways you can actually sell the compost. People buy compost more than the worms itself because they can use that in the garden. If you got only a small space, you could, big compost bins, and then, mix them up and, use wood chip, coffee grounds, mushroom compost, cow manure, things like that to keep the smell away. And, then introduce worms when it's not hot, and then just, and bag it up and sell it. And just create a system, and it works quite well. It pays the bill, helps me pay the bills here. It's a part of my income, and it's up and down with the weather and the climate and things like that. But generally, if you have a good product, you just sell word of mouth, pretty much like I do. I feed them my Amazon boxes. Yes, yeah. Well, so we shouldn't. Everyone should be feeding them their Amazon boxes. Amazon should be selling worms to eat Amazon boxes. I'll never buy fem seeds. My plants grow like madness from original seeds. Got 6 different phenos. I didn't really understand that. Sorry, wrong house. You might have to write that again. Jeff Bridges, I give kids containers of worms to feed turtles and fish. Now, that's always going to have a future for animal feeding. I think that's a good way to go for sure. And occasionally, I don't have many of that come to me, but I never sort of moved into that market. I think as more people go off grid, worm farming will continue to expand. Yeah, but are they going off grid? How many are going off grid? I know there's composting toilets with worms in them. And there's different composting systems and things, and they have the worms in them and stuff like that. And there are some really good innovation going around it, but it's really, in reality, if you look at an expanding world in a large process, it's the small worm farms that go into these small places that would probably have a bigger impact. But I don't know, I'm no expert on logistics here. I'm just sort of thinking off the top of my head. So hopefully that always becomes a case. But we will find out more about that when I go and visit Permy Pete. And hopefully, I might make a video and whack it up in here, and we might collaborate on something. I'm waiting for his proposal about the coaching for his content. And so some good money in that, and also waiting to hear from Air Garden as well, to be a proposal that they're putting forward, because I do like their product, even though it's not based around worm farming. Australian company, being innovative and solving problems and helping people grow fresh food. And that's really what I'm about. It's all about the growing of the food, people eating fresh food. Originally, Marty's Garden started as a small space gardening channel, and so my heart does really lie there in a lot of areas. Hello from Canvas, or the new normal. US, is it possible to use vermicompost tea for growing with cracky hydroponics? No, it doesn't work so good. It's not enough oxygen and things like that. You stick with, people have done it over the years. I would love to find an organic alternative to Master Blend. I'm pretty new to all of this. Look, what I would recommend really is, instead of doing cracky, is just have a good compost, and then at the bottom have these water well tanks, and then you feed it the worm tea. Plants grow like crazy like that. I've tried everything. That is the best way to do it. And that's pretty much those microgreens. What you see there is pretty much what we're talking about, right? There's just like an organic liquid down below that comes through the compost and then goes back up through the plants, because I don't top water. And that just feeds the plants. And so the vermicompost is in the actual compost as well. And if you've seen how well those plants are growing, like in 10 days, I've just grown so much food from a handful of seed. So, I would look more into that, of having the water well tanks down below. And inflation is hitting small communities very hard, so I expect more gardens will happen to it. Yeah, that's a really good point, Jess. It is hitting very hard, and people will need to find solutions to be able to save money on their food. There's no doubt about that. Totally agree with you. I think that's a good way to look at it and go, maybe worm farming isn't dead, and if we get a resurgence. And I think, like, if we get a massive inflation and we do end up, like, because they've been holding off, like the Fed and different things have been holding off, so we don't have like a big depression like they did in the 1900s, early 1900s. But if it went back to that, it would take off again, but it would become more of a different economy of swapping plants, swapping food, giving somebody some compost worms, some worm tea, that type of thing. It wouldn't be so much of a cash flow system. It'd become more of a tradable system. I'd be really happy with that. If someone come and swap some stuff with me, I'd be more than happy to do that. If they had something that I needed and I couldn't do, I think that would be really cool. Okay, Ronald Harris. My worms migrate every time it rains, but when you look at the bins, it's still full of worms. Yeah, well, when they're migrating, you just need them to go somewhere. So another worm farmer in, or compost pile or something like that, so they can keep on breeding. Once you get too many, they just stop breeding and they'll get bigger, but and then all of a sudden they'll leave, and then you end up with a little bit of a problem. So every 3 months, I recommend you take half of your worms out and move them somewhere else, or give them away, or sell them, something like that. Or the normal. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Excellent news. Since I bottom water my houseplants already, so that's familiar. I appreciate the answer. No problem. Look, I've just been doing this for years, and being, an agricultural horticulturist, and doing so many different ways, from growing food for myself for restaurants and for sale. I find that's probably one of the best ways to do it if you're looking at growing containers, for sure. Now, we've been going for 39 minutes. We've got 20 people watching. We've got 26 thumbs up. It's unreal to see everyone here. And again, if you're coming in late, I just want to apologize for not being on here so much lately. I haven't been that well. And I've got a mild sleep apnea, but I'm getting my sleeping back into play. Had a bit of time off from work, and just working in mostly the really very profitable areas to keep a roof over my head, and food in the fridge, and and also my daughter comes before anything else, being a full-time single dad and raising a teenage daughter. if you know what I mean. And I've got a really good girl, so it has its challenges, it has its moments. Got 21 people now. That's my father, Arthur Thomas Ware. Got 21 people now. Hey, Dad is here. G'day, mate. Good to see you here, and thanks for coming to visit one of the live shows. Just letting people know that, why I've been away for a while and what's going on, and there's sort of some direction that we're heading, and talking about the future of worm farming. Is it dead in 2022? Some people have come up with some interesting comments in the box so far on their thoughts on it, and it seems to be in your minds it's not dead. So I really like that, and people are going to keep doing it and keep educating. And if we can get it into places such as where the children can see it more, in the education centres, in the councils, bigger systems at the back of cafes, all those type of things, and really sort of push it in that direction. I don't believe it will die out. The only way it's going to die out in food production is we can't scale it in a big way like we can sort of hydroponics, bringing these systems, vertical farming systems, into the future, because it can be all mechanicalized. And it's really hard to mechanicalize a worm farming system, right? So it's definitely very tricky, and they've been trying for years to create a good worm tea that they can use organically, and basically it just always falls back to a hydroponic medium, because the hydroponic medium, a really good high quality one, can stay on the shelf forever. It just doesn't go bad. And so when you're looking at money and keeping the cost of everything down, that it's just the way things go. But the good thing about it is as that is evolving, there's less, like mileage around, sort of like, there's less fuel being burned up. People are getting a fresher food because it's not having to fly all the way from from America to Hawaii or something like that. They can actually put these small farms and be very close to the cafes, the restaurants, the shops, and all that type of thing. So that, in a way, there's some many good things about it as well. Now, Oddly Normal just sent a $4.99. I'm so glad I found this channel, Marty. Hope you feel much better very soon. Thank you so much. I really do truly appreciate this. Thank you very much. It's wonderful. Normally I have some other software and we can do a cheer and a yay and a hooray and things like that, but had to cut back on costs, and I just wasn't going to, couldn't really afford to pay out the money for that software for this year at the moment, unless the channel finds a good sponsor or something like that, when we can really look at maybe those options running again. But I'm here, and we're talking, we're chatting, we're having a conversation, and we've got some great comments about what people think about worm farming into the future. And like some of them, like people move into homesteading and permaculture, going off grid more. Like people are moving into learning organics. They're finding that's the way to go. The whole thing around medical cannabis and the cannabis movement, definitely that's got a huge thing. And if I was near, say, where they had farms and stuff like that, I wouldn't be growing the cannabis. I'd be actually like making a very high quality compost worm tea, and also a very high quality compost for those guys. So, and consistently similar products, so they know when they use it, they're going to get consistent results. And that's one of the hardest bits about it. And that's why, again, hydroponics is much more simpler, because they can track everything for consistency. So yeah, there is a battle there between the two, and I guess there always will be. It depends on a choice, and for me, I'm just doing both at the moment. But again, thank you, Oddly Normal, for the super chat. Really appreciate it. If anyone wants to leave a super chat, there's a comments box thing down below there, and it's just awesome, and it helps sort of add to my monthly little income that I get from running here at Marty's Garden. So it'd be interesting to see. So thank you. And Jess Bridges as well. That's just really, really kind of you. 20 people watching, 32 thumbs up. Now that's big. That is very big. And 1025. Now, just after 11 o'clock, I have an appointment with the doctor about my little injury from over pushing my exercise, because I need to exercise so I sleep well and keep on top of this mild sleep apnea. But you know what? It's keeping the belly down, it's keeping the weight off the chin, and I exercise fairly well anyway. But it's been a good experience, and I'll know more this afternoon after I go and see the doc. And I found a really nice one, so really happy about that. And I'd love to hear more what you guys think about sort of organic gardening going into the future, and sort of where you're at, like, what place you're in at the moment. Are things going to slow down? Like, are you getting ready for the snow? Are you getting ready for the heat? What's your climate like at the moment? Is it really up and down? Because it's an international channel here, right? And so people from all over the world come here. Like, we've got all in all from Kansas, and I've got someone only 5 or 20 minutes living up the road watching the show. It's just amazing. So we can go all the way from one side of the world to the other. So we have all these different types of climates, and like the different climates, everything's different for growing, and it's all different for worm farming as well. But we're all after the same result: is a good organic product that we can grow amazing food with, right? And for me, at the end of the day, it's really about getting just some really good quality, high-end food that I feel comfortable eating myself, and I feel comfortable selling to restaurants and the local people in the area. And that just builds up my brand, So, and people return and come back. So very, very cool. So I still think worm farming has a big into 2022. There's no doubt about it. It's just whether the stories are gonna get out there. So maybe someone's gonna watch this. I've got some really good stories to share. I want to push these stories out there, and so people start taking a notice. And I'm pretty good at my storytelling. And my father, he's seen here, Arthur Thomas Ware, he's a master storyteller, and I've learned some great things off him over the years. And it's like, where does this go? Where does it lead? Where does the story evolve to? Where's the start? Where's the middle? Where's the journey? Where's the possible really happy ending to it? And then this, like, carrying on that it can be into the future for where it can go. So as far as profitability goes for the Marty's Garden channel, it doesn't have any. That's the unfortunate part. And if I was to keep on doing worm farming content after the other without a good sponsorship, or my own piece in my own product, or a name on a product or something like that, it would just fold, and I would end up being not in a good place or a good space. So slowly the channel will change, but I want to keep this sort of evolving and keep rolling, and stay with you guys as well, and help you as much as I can, because I've created this bit of a legacy here as well, right? Barnes Scotty, hello, just come in. Hair is looking great. Thanks, mate. Actually, I'll probably need it. It looks better on the camera when some days it's like, it's looking pretty wild, dude. I'm about due for a haircut. Michael Sharp, how's your tail garden? Yeah, the air garden's going great. It's got a video out on tomorrow. I just filmed another one with my friend Warwick up the road, and he's growing all different types of things out of it. So that'll be probably a week to 2 weeks away. We'll see how things go. But yeah, really, really good. And in talks with Air Garden now. They actually are putting an offer forward to me. Now, let me know what you think about this, as a face for their brand in Australia, and to actually create content for their brand. And they're only a 3-man team, Air Garden. It's produced all in Australia. Everything's, and it is a very good product, and it does grow. It does grow amazing plants. There's no doubt about that in my mind. Otherwise, I wouldn't have one myself. So waiting to see what they've got to say is very interesting. And a proposal coming forward. And the one from Permy Pete as well. So interesting times ahead, and really not sure what they're going to sort of throw my way. All right, so we're going into 50 minutes now. I think what we'll do, we've got 10 minutes to go. I'm going to finish up right on 1 hour. It's quite a long time to just hang here and talk without a co-host. I could have the fake co-host to the side here and just pretend there's someone there, and everyone would think, I just totally lost my mind, and then we wouldn't have anyone watching the show. And as you can see, I am losing my mind because I'm talking about a fake co-host. So like I said before, Marty's Garden, I do love it. It's got I've got a big heart for it, but I am getting tired working totally on my own. So I'm looking at ways to work and collaborate with other people and get out more socially and be involved in the community a bit more. So I think you'll see sort of if Marty's Garden heads in that direction, that's the way it will go. It will become very much more community orientated, and maybe I'll just bring out a video every 2 weeks or something like that. Still got to work it out so it can be viable. It can be telling a good story, and in this story has got to lead somewhere and go somewhere and get a good result and really help people and inspire people, because a lot of it's been about inspiring people, right? To get that inspiration going. And that's one thing that I thrive on, is seeing other people getting inspired and going, yes, I want to do that too. And I want to achieve that result. And then they get it. And it's like unreal. I did that and I helped that person get that. It's so cool. And I have helped hundreds of thousands of people online grow amazing food at home. So, like, I'll give myself a bit of a pat on the back for that one. Feel happy about that. And just absolutely stoked to be here. All right, so we've got another one just came in. Oh, that we've got that one. Michael Sharp, how's your towel garden? We got that. Barnesy Scotty, love what you think. Love, and I'd love to help. Okay, well, cool. Well, people that are close by, that aren't too far away, maybe we can look at something. But as far as sort of like that, the online thing, I'm looking at more being the offline side of things, of being sort of like, the community side of things, of being with people and just being more social and that, because I've been very socially isolated for many years, raising my daughter on my own and not really having much time to get out and about. So that's changing, right? And I think that's a part of my sleep problem as well, is just this mental health thing of that's evolved over time. So yeah, I think you'll see some great things happening here at Marty's Garden, but we'll just have to watch out and see where that leads to, and sort of go from there. And it'll probably be a mixture about maybe collaborating and bringing some of that content into this channel. So it'll be like more just very, very story driven, and it'd be just really, really cool to work with him on something like that. And we have. Whoa, this is very nice. And, we've only got 8 minutes to go, but Wayne's Worm Farm has dropped a £4.49 in the super chat. Thank you so much. I don't have the thing to move them up to the top, to pin them up to the top, unfortunately. But I just thank you so much for doing that. And I think it does automatically go up to the top. So thank you, Wayne's Worm Farm. Very, very kind of you. And, it does really, really help quite a lot for what I'm doing here on the channel here at Marty's Garden. As I said, I do have another channel called Skated Australia, but that's about the sort of skateboard school that I'm setting up eventually into the future, and moving into sort of doing some things for the kids, and then setting up the mentorship program. But at the moment, we're just sort of just practicing shooting skateboarding videos here and there in between the rain, and just having a bit of fun getting out with friends and stuff like that, instead of just filming everything sort of on my own. So that's been a bit of fun as well, and really, really enjoying that. So we've got pretty much 5 minutes to go. If anyone's got any questions, generally there's like a 60-minute rollout, 60-second rollout before the question arrives to me. So happy to answer any more before we go. If you've got anything else to say about worm farming into the future, is it dead in 2022 and beyond? Love to hear that before we go. Maybe you've got some thoughts on it, and if you're going to give it up or if you're going to keep on going. I think that is absolutely just brilliant. 15 people watching. Excuse me. 34 thumbs up. And we're doing this all freestyle through the YouTube software. So I haven't been able to drag out the comments and things like that, unfortunately. But we are here and we are enjoying it. And it's great to see everyone sort of come together, this community. Please make friends inside here. That's just a really awesome way to go. Wayne's Worm Farm, always love to help. Hope it's not dead. I don't believe it is. It still keeps going. And to places like America, where you've got bigger volumes of people, larger populations, I believe there'll still be some growth there. Australia, not so much. It's you don't really hear about it as much. And Yeah, which is a bit unfortunate, but definitely in the cannabis side of things, the medical cannabis and stuff, it's definitely going to be moving forward. People that are going to be pushing organics, they're going to be moving forward, and hopefully they start creating some systemized ways to create a better organic product. And maybe, who knows, if they start planting trees and they're going to do these carbon farms, then they're going to need to plant organically. And the best way to do that is to be using worm castings to plant around the trees for the tree's survival, right? Instead of putting, which I've seen over the years, chemical fertilizers around the bottom of the trunk of a tree. It's just absolutely terrible, and it doesn't give the tree as good success as we'd like. So David Dalrymple, I took it up this year. Well, awesome. Hopefully you're going through the channels, having a good look. If you're really struggling with it, join the members and do the videos through. You don't have to stay in there, but that's what I'd recommend, and that way you'll learn really quickly about what to do and get it right. Wayne's Worm Farm. What with all the environmental worries we've got worldwide, yeah, it's a pity they don't eat plastic, right? They eat plastic. Everyone would want to know about these things, and it would just be amazing if they could eat plastic. But there's one thing I'll let you know about the plastics is that actually the world is going to be rid of plastic soon. It's only going to be the heavy plastics that are going to be used because the mycorrhizae fungi is actually making these new types of plastics. And that is cheaper way to make plastics, and people in third world nations can actually set up these fungi farms and make plastics and then sell it on to other companies to make a type of plastic and leathers and things like that. So, yep, look it up in there, fungi making plastic, or mycorrhizae and plastics. Google it, YouTube it, and have a look at the future of that. It's very inspiring. And at the end of the day, that stuff that's breaking down, the worms are going to eat that. So maybe that's where there's going to be this technological shift where they'll be composting these biodegradable plastics, and the worms will become a part of turning that into a third end product, which people like myself would then, like compost and then resell on and things. So we're finding sort of a way to double value, triple value everything. All right, so let's read the rest of these comments now. All the normal. I'm looking forward to the journey, and we'll definitely be consuming your channel for info. Unreal. Thank you. And I'm sure you're going to get plenty of it. Drop a comment. Just give me a day or two to get back. I'm not there every day at the moment. And what do you think gives the best feed? A combination of worm tea and worm compost. And interesting on plastic, New South Wales will get rid of all plastic cutlery, etc., and bags again. Well, I'll answer the first one. What I like to feed my worms in a larger scale is the coffee grounds from the cafes. Absolutely love that. Produces a very good fertilizer, and you're stopping that from going into landfill. So if you're scaling up, that is a really good way. It's not so good in very small worm farms. It gets hot. It needs to have a way for the heat from the nitrogen to dissipate, but they absolutely love it, and it makes a wonderful fertilizer and a worm tea. So that's hopefully answered that. And cutlery and bags, yeah, that's an ongoing story. We need to get rid of those. And Daryl, Marty, have you followed Elaineiningham's videos? She seems to know how to monetize it. I have, but again, you would need to go in that direction of having this, it's not so much just the money side of things, it's being able to work with other people. Just been a bit lonely lately, doing everything from the beginning, from the script writing to the filming, to the editing, to the production, growing the plants, watering the plants, everything, the whole lot. Before I was doing it with my daughter, she's not so much interested anymore. So it's just not healthy for me to just be on my own and be desocialized from the environment, other than when I go surfing or something. I might see some friends. So yeah, just trying to get involved more in along those areas. Like I said, I'm going to go see Permy Pete, and I think something will come out of that. And he's an amazing worm farmer. So, and that's one of my most popular videos in there on this channel is when I go and see him. And so I think it's got a little bit of a future there. We just need to see where it rolls out to, and I've got the faith that it will keep happening. It's just a matter of how often these videos come out, and maybe I'll do a live show like once a month, something like that, and then sort of go from there. All right, so we're on 59 minutes, 29 seconds. We're going to roll over a little bit. Please say goodbye to everyone and your friends in this community. There's some new people that have turned up that I'm just meeting today, and then a few golden oldies that have been coming back through again. Thank you so much for your super chats. You wouldn't believe how much that helps me into the future here with my show and just in general, because I haven't worked much for the last month to 6 weeks with this sleep apnea thing. So thank you so much yet again. Now, please say goodbye to other people in the comments box. And yeah, we'll start rolling out to head off now, because I've got an appointment in half an hour. I have to be there at the doctor's. I think we might see a resurgence in worm farming and composting because of the impending rise in the cost of synthetic fertilizers due to gas cost and other economic issues that impact food prices. Yeah, it's a good point. We'll see how that goes. Again, hydroponics still keeping fairly down in price. Barnesy Scott really understood how hard it would be to create and run a YouTube channel. I've tried and failed myself. I feel people subscribe to the person, and you truly have a great personality, Marty. Keep it up. Thank you, Barnesy Scotty. Unreal. Bye, everyone. That's what he said. And yeah, look, say goodbye to your friends in here. Normally, I roll out some music at the end, and people say goodbye to their buddies in here, make new friends, connect with new people, because we're a worldwide global thing, and there is a great community here, and people get a lot of value out of the content I produce, I believe. So thank you very much. Cheers. We got a few seconds left. Say goodbye in there, and I will see you at tomorrow's video, Saturday, where I'm growing the basil out of the garden tower. It's not a garden tower. It's actually called an air garden. The company don't like me calling it a garden tower because that's the American one. So, but it is a tower, and it does grow amazing food, and it is pretty awesome. And we've got 2 videos coming out about how well that's going. Ollie Normal, thanks again so much. Bye, everyone. Have a lovely day. Nice to meet you all. Bye, guys. Love you all. See you all soon. And stay tuned. I'll let you know what's going on. Starting to feel much better. Bye for now. Oh,